Bueno, hola a todos y gracias por estar con nosotros aquí en Santiago Wild. Estoy aquí con unos invitados súper especiales. Tenemos a Casey Anderson, cineasta de documentales de naturaleza americano, naturalista, es biólogo de profesión, de formación y bueno, enamorado de la conservación. Y tenemos a Tria Thalmann, productora ejecutiva de Smithsonian Channel. Tria es zoóloga, pero además de eso se dedicó muchos años a hacer sus propios documentales de naturaleza antes de ser productora ejecutiva. Y por último tenemos a René Araneda, nuestro cineasta chileno de documentales. Lo habrán conocido por su serie Wild Chile, entre otros. Y gracias a todos por estar con nosotros. Thank you for being here with us. Have a quick chat. So, thank you. So tell us a little bit about this amazing documentary, Into the Puma Triangle. How did this idea come up? Casey and René, when did you guys meet and how did you decide to make a documentary together?
Wow. Should I start, Casey? So I think this starts on the festivals. We get to go every year to festivals and you get to know all the people from the industry. You eventually become friends with them. And since I met Casey, I was kind of bothering him all the time about the Pumas from Patagonia, isn't it? And I was motivating him to go and visit and come visit Chile. I think that was the origin. And that was probably a couple of years I was doing that with you, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we shared a common passion. Whether it was the mountain lions here in Montana, the pumas that René had experience with down in Patagonia. You know, we had a lot in common, even though we lived on the other side of the world from each other. I mean, there's other things we had in common. You know, we were sharing beers and talking about an animal we loved. Yeah, and it's so, you know, it's that common passion turned into a friendship, and then it turned into brainstorming ideas. Him inviting me down to his neck of the woods and vice versa. And eventually everything aligned and I headed south and went to René's stomping grounds and had an amazing experience.
Yeah, I think the origin is kind of a casual conversation, but what also happened is that when you're doing wildlife films, you always need a little bit of help from nature. And what happened with Casey and our team here in Chile, which we've been filming for years, is that I think it was, I don't know, it wasn't a long time that you were here and we get to see like so many amazing sightings and things that it's just like, it's not normal, pretty much. That's what happened. And that's the origin of a really great story. And I think, well, we can talk about this later about Casey's feelings to these animals and what happened in that place and in that specific moment. But we all realized that we had something special after Casey's first visit to Chile. And yep, we're very grateful with nature, I have to say.
Tria, tell us a little bit about, as an executive producer, you receive pitches constantly, and what was it about this particular pitch that caught your eye? And also, when did you meet these guys? I know you guys have been, have met and you guys go way back, but tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Casey and I first worked together many years ago on his former series that he did for Nat Geo Wild. And so he and I have sort of worked together off and on over the years before. And René, as he said, is somebody that initially I met through going to the wildlife film festivals every year and becoming friends before we worked together, which was lovely. But prior to this film, Casey had just done another film for me on mountain lions in Montana, where he had been following one specific female for, I think, up to 3 years, documenting her life. And it was a very hard film to make because these cats are, in Montana at least, so elusive that you hardly ever see them. And a lot of the filming is happening at night using special thermal imagery, or it's using camera traps on kills and stuff. So it was very hard to do a film about these animals in Montana. So when Casey and René came to me and said, they described the experience that they had had down in Chile when Casey was visiting with René, I knew we had a very special story that we could build a film around. And there was no question that we really wanted to do it.
That's wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about this behavior and the difference in behavior that you guys were able to capture in this documentary. What was your feeling, Casey, when you were there and you were actually confirming kind of things that René had been telling you about?
Sure. Expectations. I had realistic expectations, I guess, in the sense that what I knew about mountain lions and how I had experienced, much like what Tria just said, fleeting glimpses, lucky if we got some good footage in a day. Often people that live right here where the mountain lions are, they don't see a mountain lion at all in their entire life. So then I hear the stories of what René is telling me about his experiences, and I think, wow, it almost seems too good to be true. But I know that when you hear that, I go with low expectations when I went to Chile. But what blew my mind is that everything René said was not only true, it was actually exceeded that. It was better than what he had said. We had, these mountain lions that were ghosts here in Montana suddenly are, walking right by you like you're a rock on the landscape. And then all the behavior that we saw, and like René said earlier, I think it even exceeded his expectations. We started seeing things that neither of us have ever seen before. We realized that some of the behaviors that we were seeing were really special. I mean, never seen before behaviors. Things that we had speculated about, things that he had seen hints of prior. It all came real. I was like a little kid. I was like at Christmas time. I was just like so excited. I had a smile permanently stuck on my face. And that's, it's what you do it for. It's like to be out there, have fun, tell a beautiful story about a beautiful animal in the world.
And it's so amazing in this instance that to have that serendipity when something so remarkable unfolds and you actually have cameras there. And they had two cameras. They had one camera on them, getting their reactions to what was unfolding in front of their eyes. And they had another camera on the cats. The long lens wildlife cameraman was filming the cats. So from the network's perspective, it's just it's an extraordinary situation to have the film crews there when something genuinely is unfolding like that. It was a remarkable opportunity to put this film together.
And also I have to say, in terms of, the place is definitely something special. The animal is very special. They're very different to the animal that you see in the rest of the continent. But there's always this kind of social behavior. So at the beginning, as Casey was explaining, you see sightings of these animals that are they're like this, they're glimpses. And then after year, we started seeing a lot of things and understanding much more. But even then, after years of being and working there and filming there, what we got to see in those days with Casey was just like, again, it's not common, it's not normal. And Tria knows this also. Like, we could have, you can write a script and put all the things that we got there, and it never would have happened. It just wouldn't have happened, So those behaviors, how unique they are and not seen before, I think that's the heart of the film, apart from Casey's face. That's the other super interesting thing, because, we know each other for years, but then having Casey there and this is very honest from what I experienced, it's just his face every day. Like, he looked like a little 5-year-old kid, watching cartoons. It was amazing. And you can see that on the film, I think. You can feel that constantly. It's there's a lot of moments in which we don't know even what to say. It's like, what's going on? I don't know. Just let's watch this and have fun.
Casey, how long were you there in Chile in this particular trip, in this particular shoot?
I think I was there only about 10 days. Is that right, René?
Yeah, it was about a week between all the traveling and arriving to the place. And
yeah, it was a short period of time. And in natural history filmmaking, you don't think you're going to get much of a film in that period of a time, let alone what we did. Every day was jam-packed full of action and unique behavior, and on the most beautiful landscape on the planet. So it was, I felt like I had died and gone to heaven.
That's amazing. Congratulations to you both, to you, the three of you actually. Tria, tell us a little bit about, okay, so you get a project, you're pitched a project, you greenlight it. Now, what is your involvement as an executive producer throughout the different stages of the film?
Well, there's a big stage from getting it from getting it from pitch to green light, but let's assume that we've overcome that hurdle and we now have—
That was easy.
Took a while, but it always does. So once the film is greenlit and they're sort of preparing to, normally you would then be preparing to head out into the field to go and shoot your film. But in this instance, the majority of the film was already shot. They went back and they got more scenics and stuff to help in the edit room. But the storyline and the behavior was all shot, which is great. So I then work very closely with the producer and the editor who are working on the film to put it all together. And I help review the scripts. And when they feel the film is ready to share with me at, say, rough cut, then I'll review that and I'll give them feedback, and then I'll do it again at fine cut and help them work on the script. So I'm just working with them, sort of giving what's hopefully constructive feedback the whole way through the editing process and into final finishing, making sure that the network is getting the best film that we think we can get from the material, making sure that I'm sort of putting myself in the mind of the viewers. And I think often as a filmmaker, you sort of assume that people know certain things and that there's a basis of knowledge because you're living that life. And I think as the executive, often we have to put ourselves in the minds of the viewers and think, well, actually, you need to explain that better because most people won't know that. So I'm there to sort of serve the interests of the network and also serve the interests of the viewers.
Great, yeah, exactly. So as wildlife filmmakers, because the three of you are, what was the hardest part of the process for each and every one of you? Or what is the hardest part of that process for you?
It's in this case, a film like this it comes, what happens in front of you is something that you need to kind of, grab it, put it in there, present it, and be very clear on what you're presenting. So I think because we were not filming, we were not doing a film when all of the things happened, really. We were just there. Like Casey and myself, we've never been on camera before together. So there was nothing, there was no exercise before, and there was nothing. We just went there. We were
No
enjoying.
script. Mm-hmm.
No script. So in this case, usually it's not done this way. Usually you have an idea of what specifically you're going for, specifically you're looking for, specific animal behaviors that you're trying to get. And in this case, we did it the other way around. And I think that was a little bit of a challenge because the agenda and the calendar is complicated. We have a lot of stuff. Casey has been a dad recently and he's expecting the second little lady. So there was a lot of complications just to go there and film whatever we wanted. We couldn't do that. So we had to be very smart, and Tria was super helpful with that. It was a very rich process, a very rich creative process. How to tell the story, how to be honest with the story that you're telling, because you don't make up stuff. It has to be very, very honest in every way, what we feel and the animal behavior that you're getting. So we used a lot of the experience that the team had in previous years. We knew these cats. We know these cats. We know who they are. We know their backstories. And that, I think, made a better film too. So it's just getting all of those elements to have a very honest film that shows things that we haven't seen before and try to show it in the most entertaining and beautiful way, I think.
Yeah, I agree. We had that process that René explained. It's like, we did go out in the field, but not with the intent of really shooting a film. So then taking those pieces of the puzzle and trying to make it a cohesive narrative, a cohesive story that told the truth. And then even, going to Tria and saying, hey, we've got enough, we think, and then sorting through those puzzle pieces and making sure that we did. And then, working all together to make it work. And I think that when viewers watch the film, they'll see that it did.
Yeah, I'm just going to reinforce what the guys have said, that the most challenging part for this film was knowing, they came to me and they knew they had something, but they didn't quite know what. And it was digging into the material to figure out, okay, what is the best story we can tell from this? Is our story just this journey of what happened in this 1 week and how it unfolded, and does that then become the end of the film? Or do we need to sort of compress that and then do more filming? Do we need to add on to what happened and take the story further? Because there are so many different ways you can go with a film in what is the story that you want to tell. And it took us quite a while to figure that out on this one. And that was what I alluded to about the process between the pitch and the green light was actually quite long for this film, because we're not going to green light a film until we are absolutely confident that we're going to get a good story and a good film at the end of it.
At the end.
So we had to spend a lot of time digging into the material and figuring out what exactly is the story that we're telling. And I think the end result, it was worth that struggle, because the end result is this remarkable, genuine moment that unfolds on camera, and it's so rare, so special to capture that.
I have to say that it's a fun process, and it's fun to work it, and to also, when you start working, for example, with Tria, it's just like Tria sees things that we don't, it's just like from her point of view, her perspective. And of course, sometimes you want to defend a little kind of thing that you want to add in there, and Tria has the right point, and that's it's a fun process. And I just wanted to add something, like one of a little moment that defines how honest this film is and how real it is that we're probably filming like the best moment in the film, just to not give any spoilers. And then Casey's on camera and he's using his phone to film. And he's just like, hey, you better film this, like telling the camera, you better film this. And while he's filming on his phone, that's what was happening. It was just, we done all face all the time.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Actually, I enjoyed it a lot. So on that note, tell us a little bit about the importance of documentaries from your point of view. Why should we care? Why should we watch documentaries? We're faced with a climate crisis right now. How do wildlife documentaries help inspire people, and how are they a call to action to people?
Who are you directing that question to?
To all of you. Tria, you go first.
Well, I think certainly I don't live the life that Casey and René live. I'm not out in the wilds, traveling the world the whole time, experiencing nature in the same way that they do, at least not anymore, now that I have my executive job in my office. So for people like me, it's critical that wildlife documentaries just show us what's out there. That's the most important thing. And show people who live in cities that there's an entire world out there that they never get to see, but you can still appreciate through beautiful filmmaking. But it's important that you don't just show people the beautiful side of the natural world. You have to show them also what's happening, how it's changing, how it's being affected and destroyed, and how the animals are having to adapt and change and are losing their habitats. And as networks, you have to be responsible in communicating that and not just portraying the natural world as this beautiful, pristine place. It's not. It's in danger. And we have to tell that story.
Yeah, I agree. There's a selfish part of why we want to make wildlife documentaries, like Tria said. It's like to be out there. But we already are in love with the place and trying to protect it. But to be able to share those places with the rest of the world, to show the rest of the world what they have to lose, or what is being lost, what is at threat, the value of that and the beauty of that. And then, even we strive to tell stories about individuals and, lack of a better term, personalities. These individuals that we can connect to, and it makes it more personal to the viewer. They are our neighbors. We share this earth with them. And if you have that personal connection, I think the value of what may be lost becomes greater. And then it's our hope that people want to fight for their friends.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a film is a motivation for others at the same time than teaching and being, you know, educational material is motivation, is making people fall in love with the things that we already in love, and we want to spread the word, and you want to make and generate the awareness, and at the same time have ambassadors to spread that word too. So of course there's so many different formats and styles in this wildlife filmmaking, but you need to motivate people by showing characters, individuals, species, and just show what's out there of the window. Unfortunately, most of the people, they don't have the chance that we have of spending that amount of time in nature with animals. So you need to show them, and they'll immediately will engage with this. So I think it's our big responsibility from people that films the animals, but also from broadcasters. People like Smithsonian and all the other channels, they do a massive job around the world of spreading that word, for spreading the word.
Just to add on to that, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, this easily could have been like the coolest iPhone personal videos that we might have, you know, showed our friends and put on Facebook. But it takes the platform, and it takes the trust and belief that Tria had in us, and to get it out there. You know, she's the conduit to the world, and she believed in what we had, and it took our personal moment, our iPhone videos and whatnot, and now it's on a worldwide stage, and now we get that opportunity to do what our mission is, and that's to share the beauty of the world with the rest of the world.
Wonderful. What's in the works for you guys? We have René. Your new project is secret. You can't talk about it. Casey, what are you working on?
It's lions, not tigers. They're doing some bear stuff. It's becoming autumn here in Montana, and that's high time for some bear action around here. Working on some stuff with René, a little too in the back, but not his secret project. Yeah, no, I'm hoping that you may see more from this team right here in the future.
Wonderful.
Casey has been here a lot recently, these last couple of years, and we're working on something that we really like, which is the ocean. We've been working already for like 2 years on the ocean side of things too. And yeah, we have a really nice team too. It's like it's your buddies, they're your friends, and you miss each other when you're far away.
I've learned my lesson too. If René says there's something really cool going on down here, I go.
Now you book a flight. Well, I wish we were all together in Santiago right now, sharing these stories and at the film festival, but we have the advantage of having it online, and maybe next year we will reunite.
Let's
and
hope
thank you
so.
so much.
Fingers
Thank
crossed.
you, Tria, Casey, and René for this conversation. And please keep on making great films.
Thank you for having us, Monica.
Thanks, Monica.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Wow.
Bye, guys.